So so that the break time is over, let's see. Okay, open your note-taking books, please, because you have a lot of questions to answer today. Is the lecture easy or difficult?
Difficult.
Okay, neither was I. Anyways, easy or difficult, you know we have to start our lecture today. Did everyone do their homework? Okay, great. Today, oh, I almost forgot. Meet your new professors. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Professor Yeji, and today we will talk about Mark Twain.
Hello, my name is Professor Alex, and I'll talk about Mark Twain.
Okay, so the introduction is over. Let's discuss the lecture about the Mark Twain. Before we start, let's ask a question. What do you have in mind when I say the word Mark Twain? Anyone?
Counselor,
And Alice?
American word.
Yes, perfect. My favorite author is Mark Twain, personally, by the way. I believe everyone had heard this lecture. So what is the main topic of the lecture? Anyone? Ashley?
How Mark Twain led American literature.
Can you speak louder?
How Mark Twain affected the American literature.
Yes, that is absolutely right. It's also about the Mark Twain's life and how he wrote his story and his book. Let's get through this lecture with first Professor Alex.
Yes, firstly, let's talk about the Mark Twain's early life. Do you know where did the Mark Twain born? Anyone? Seven?
He born in the town of Florida, Missouri.
Yes, that's correct. He born in 1835 in California, state Missouri. Unfortunately, his father died by pneumonia at the 1847, so he started to work in printing house. And he did many works in many places after the father dies. In 1851, he worked as a typesetter, and when he became 18, he worked in the Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and New York as a typesetter. And 1857, he started pilot heads work until 1861. But why did it stop? Do you know? Civil War, yes, correct. Civil War happened. Because Civil War occurs, so the waterway gets closed. First, he decided to be a volunteer soldier. However, he wanted to do nothing with the work, so he goes to the west part and in the newspaper. And in the Nevada, California, and Hawaii, he worked in these three regions for the newspaper. And lastly, in 1863, he uses his pen name Mark Twain. And I'll tell the interesting facts of the Mark Twain. Because of the father dies, Mark Twain couldn't go to the school, so he should study himself. And what? Yale University, Missouri University, Oxford University, etc. He got many honorary doctorates. And do you know anyone his real name? Ashley?
His real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
Yes, it's correct. His real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
Professor, I have a question. What is the honorary doctorate?
Honorary doctorate is one of the professor in the university that has honor. And yes. And do you know how did he get his pen name Mark Twain? And I'll tell you. Because he worked in the Mississippi River as the pilot age, and when people go into the dock with the river boat, they have to measure the depth of the water to go into the dock. And if they measure the depth of the water and they yell Mark Twain, so he got his pen name. And before we tell the books of the Mark Twain, I'll tell the other works of the Mark Twain. First, he was the anti-imperialism. Since 1901 until he dies, he He was the vice chairman of the anti-imperialism group, and he disagreed to colonize the Philippines. And also he supported Russia's revolutionists but criticized cruel Russia's scheme. And also he asserted the right of the woman. He emphasized to give right of the voting to women. Question?
What does anti-imperialism?
Imperialism is that the soldiers or the king was colonized all of the world. For example, Japan, they had many colonization, and the anti-means, so they're disagreeing with imperialism.
Well, a few years after, he became a newspaper writer, and he scored his first major success with a short story. Can anyone tell the name? Okay.
It is the Huckleberry Princess.
Sorry, it's not another. Sophie?
The celebrated movie Fox of Calaveras, not it?
Yes, perfect. His success, his first major success with the story name Celebrated was a Calaveras Company in which he wrote in 1863. And after the Civil War ended, he took a journey to Europe and Middle East. And he wrote a book about American traveling entitled The Innocents Aboard and published in 1869. Then he returned to USA, and do you know what happened? Becky?
He married with Olivia Langdon in 1870.
Yes, he married with Olivia Langdon in 1870 and raised 3 daughters. And the next 20 years, he had a writing period. He was able to spend his time, and he was able to spend his whole time to writing using the money that he earned. And he earned the money with writing magazines or newspaper and writing several articles. And he chose to write the voyage experience in the Mississippi River. We can name 2 famous books. Actually,
The Adventure of Tom Sawyer and The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn.
yes, he's right. He published The Adventures of Tom Sawyer in 1876, and he published The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn in 1885. Yes?
I have a question. Then why he decided to write about boyhood experience?
Well, I don't know exactly, but I predict it would be a very fun for him, or it is some best memory of him. So I think he decided to write about his boyhood experience. Ashley?
The Adventure of Tom Sawyer and The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn is all based by the boys' adventure in Mississippi.
Yes. Well, next, let's talk about his another writing. We already knew these 4 books. The Celebrate Jumping Frog of the Calaveras Company, The Innocent Aboard, The Adventure of Tom Sawyer, and The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. Anyone know another writing? Especially?
The Prince and the Pauper.
Yes. And when do you know when published?
I don't know the exact age, but he published the book when he was age 46.
Yes, very good. And another book. First, it's okay you explain the summary of this full book. Yes, actually.
The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. The book Adventure. Should I tell the summary?
Yeah, very short summary.
The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn is following along the great American nobles, and it is characterized by local originality.
It's very good. And can anyone tell the summary of the Adventure of Tom Sawyer? Alice?
From what I know, it is a book about Tom Sawyer and his adventures taking place in the Mississippi River with his friends such as the Huckleberry Finn and many others such as Indian Joe or Honey Treasure.
It's very well done, everyone. And there's a book named Kill the Age, which published in 1863. published in 1883, and the last one is Portrait of Positivism, that published in 1905. And there are still many books that Mark Twain wrote. Okay, so let's talk about the colloquialism. I believe that you guys are heard of the prose, but I'll tell a little short of the prose. The prose is the dialogue which reflects the way we're going to flow. But let's go to another thing, the colloquialism, because the prose we'll talk about later. The colloquialism is what is the author used and our desire to capture the essence of how certain people act, think, or speak. And it is also different and normal English, which is Queen's English. And also, can you tell about which century, which the common people of the novelists who have the characters speaking as though they were in a high social sound? Anyone? Yes, it is correct. Thank you, Mr. Professor. It is the 19th century. But also, during the 1800s, many people began to read because the massive education at the time gets even bigger and bigger. So that the lecture is over, is there any questions?
Professor, let's talk about the right of woman that he made. And do you know some example? Do you know the examples of the right of woman?
As I said, he really emphasized with the woman right. At that time, like 19th century, the women didn't have the right of the vote. So, like, he had many lessons about why do women have to get the right of the vote.
No, another thing. There's no another thing. He only made that let the woman to vote.
Well, if you are curious about it, you have to research it because this is all have research. So if you are curious about it, you should research it. Ashley?
I think Professor K shortly mentioned about colloquialisms, and in the lecture I heard that colloquialism is different than just English that we use. So do you know how is it different?
So, like I said, the colloquialism exact meaning is the word that people use in common, like we use in Korea, but the word certain English is, which is the Queen's English, is different than the colloquialism because the colloquialism is what word that people use in common.
So what's the Queen language?
So it is the normal English. When did he die?
He died? Well, so you mean when Mark Twain died?
Yes.
Well, we don't know because it is not in lecture, but if you're curious, you can find it. Another?
Can you give some examples of prose?
Like I said, that the prose is the dialogue that reflects the way where the locals wrote. And to explain more about it, the prose is wrote about the land we live in during the youth choose to write.
Mhm.
Youth elected people who live in the wrong side and work on the Mississippi. But if you don't know exact meaning, then we'll talk about in the next class.
There's also your diary or thinking note, like essay, could be one of the prose.
So it's more like non-fiction rather than fiction, right?
Yes, like free writing.
So, if no more questions, then what do you learn about this lecture? It can be based on your opinion. Ashley?
Actually, before the lecture, I just read a book once about Mark Twain, but I didn't knew that he was a famous writer in American. I just thought that he was just little science. He was